Hey guys, what's going on? Andrew coming at you. And M, who is a longtime subscriber now, gave me an idea for a video, and I'm not going to be able to read the whole comment, but I'm just going to go into it. She basically said, holiday season's coming up, maybe you can educate Swedes on Halloween works in the US, and of course you go a lot further in and talking about the differences. I can maybe read that another time, but I thought about, let's go in and talk about the difference between Halloween in the United States and Halloween in Sweden. The biggest three things, I think it's going to be three things that I've noticed is, first, Halloween is typically celebrated much later in Sweden, about a week ahead of time, and the reason is of All Saints Day. I don't know if it's always on the 31st, but I know All Saints Day is close to when we celebrate Halloween in the U.S. Halloween's usually, if not, Halloween's always like the 31st, but maybe a trick-or-treat day where kids would go out and get candy, or like the Halloween parties for friends, family, and maybe like college, university, and things like that is usually either going to be the weekend before, or it's usually the weekend before almost always, unless Halloween's going to be like on a Thursday, then the Halloween party might be that Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Halloween in Sweden typically is in November, which has always been quite interesting. But I think it is because of All Saints Day. All Saints Day is a day where people go to cemeteries to visit the graves of loved ones. They have candles with them, and it's a very somber but special moment to be part of. It's interesting because Sweden isn't really a religious country, but a lot of these traditions can kind of seem a little bit based in religion. I think All Saints Day definitely, for sure. And if you ever get a chance to go do it, and you can be respectful, I recommend walking through a cemetery during All Saints Day. I did it with a group of people about 4 or 5 years ago just to kind of see what the tradition is about. So I think it's out of respect for that. It wouldn't make sense to have, because they have their own thing going on at that time, it doesn't make sense to celebrate Halloween when they do it. Another thing is Halloween just doesn't seem to be as big of a deal here as it is in the United States. Now, it's a big deal, don't get me wrong. I've watched it grown over like the last 6 years, but maybe not everybody dresses up, and there's just some issues with it still. You could just see what I mean if you're here, that it just doesn't seem as popular, but it's definitely growing, and it's nice to see because it is my favorite holiday, and the reason it's my favorite holiday is I love spooky movies. I love spooky stuff. I'm reading a Stephen King book right now to just tell you how much I'm into like horror or zombie related stuff. But I just love the idea of being creative and having a costume. Like, I just had the idea of, like, if I could do a costume this year and plan ahead of time, I would be Epic Sax Guy. I think that would be so funny to walk around with a saxophone and be the Epic Sax Guy. That's what I mean. You can have a creative idea and go with it. Especially in university, when you have a lot more free time on your hands, you can come up with a lot of fun stuff. The next thing is there isn't really this big tradition with getting candy. So in Sweden, there's just Halloween parties, or maybe the night scene. A lot of people would dress up if they're going out and things like that. You don't have this whole idea of knocking on someone's door and picking up candy. You do this later on towards Easter, which I can go into later, and people can share more with me because I've been in Sweden for 6 years and nobody knocks on my door and asks for candy, but I also live in an apartment complex, and that could be why. I think it's mostly done around neighborhoods and things like that. So that's the second big thing I can think about. So it's not as big of a deal here. I still think Halloween is a very interesting holiday here. It's nice to see that it is growing in Sweden. I see a lot more costumes. They do celebrate it later. There's no candy involved, but overall, it's a very fun holiday and a fun experience. And it's nice to see Sweden kind of embracing a holiday that's typically much more popular in the United States, because it's just fun for everybody to be creative, and it's fun to not be yourself for one day as well, and anything where you can be creative, and just spooky horror stuff. It's just something that I really enjoy and like. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, feel free to give me a like. If you're new to the channel, I'd love to have you hit that subscribe button. No, I am not Ray Williams Johnson, because I've been asked that. And finally, I have a little bit more free time to be pumping out some videos this week, so look for some extra videos. I don't know if I'll do one every day, but I'm excited about it. I love when I have the time to make more videos. So I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.